thank the people of Ashanti region for that massive show of support on Saturday. It was unbelievable, shocking. It beat everyone's imagination. The numbers that poured on the street of Kumasi to support Mr. Alan Kyerematen. Clearly, the matter of who controls Ashanti region was settled last Saturday, and the verdict is in favor of Mr. Alan Kyerematen, that he is the one holding on to Ashanti region, and definitely that will propel him into victory come 2024. So we are very grateful to all the market women, the youth groups, the clergy, the imams, the ghetto youth, and everyone that came to support the movement. We are very grateful, and we know as we have left there, we understand the flag bearer of the NPP will be coming around. Do not shy to take their money. We know they are bringing hundreds of millions of Ghana cedis. Take some, it's your own tax money. But at the end of the day, on the voting day of 7 December,
take all.
Maybe they have to leave some for them so that they can also enjoy the position. So
it will also depend on the amounts the party is giving them.
No, they will take, but they will not vote for them. We know our customers. We know them very well. They will take the money, but they will not vote for them.
All right, Solomon, thank you so much. Now, just reminding you that the discussions are about to begin, and you can also be a part by sending your messages on 0559919802, Now, let's delve right into our conversation. Honorable, I'll start with you, and we are going to touch on the happenings in Mozambique. Now, usually, I just want to reiterate that when we are having these conversations, it's not only about the country where that particular incident is occurring, but then it also affects Africa. We can't sit down and fold our arms to say that, oh, it's far away. Mozambique is just, another African country somewhere, and so we'll just fold our arms. Let's look at the political stability that this very incident threatens, and also the security and democracy that we enjoy here in Africa.
Thank you so much. And I think that first and foremost, good morning to all our viewers and listeners once again. The starting point for me is that elections are always a turning point, or can be a turning point, in terms of democracy in any country. They are always tense moments, and they are fraught with some difficulties, even in Europe or in the States, as you well know. Some countries don't have elections, so they are in a different ilk, let me put it that way. But those of us who have now ascribed to the policies of democracy know that because of the winner-takes-all syndrome of democracy in many jurisdictions, especially the ones in Africa, and the fact that it has become a situation where people think that if you are not in the political circle or in favor with your people will collapse your businesses, people will do all kinds of things. It becomes very fraught with heightened tension, which goes beyond. Now, the politicians who are all doing this have to be careful, because if you ever get it to a point where you are demonstrating that democracy cannot work, you are opening an avenue for other forms or issues to intervene. So the first point is it behoves upon all these politicians in Mozambique, any country, to ensure that you do not take things to a certain level which demonstrates that democracy is not working in that country again. Once you do that, you only have yourself to blame for what follows. Because no matter how you shout that Arab Springs is not good, this person's good, you have created the atmosphere, or for that matter, the scenario for them to have a basis to germinate or grow. So I'm concerned, and that's why, you know, there are two bodies in any country which are deemed to be independent, but, and we'll come on to that later, but have a very important role to play in any governance structure, or for that matter, any democratic dispensation. That's the Electoral Commission and the Judiciary. And funnily enough, all the people on these two bodies, none of them is elected. Do you understand?
Yeah.
They are not elected.
Yeah. Yeah.
They are not necessarily representative of the people. And there's a good reason, because you are supposed to not necessarily represent one group or the other.
Yes.
You are here for a job. And yet, sometimes they act more partisan than the people who have been elected.
Yeah, with neutral leanings.
Exactly. So, Mozambique, we saw what happened in Nigeria. We've seen what has happened in countries where the people have decided they will change constitution from 2 to 3 terms or whatever. You've seen how Togo is now doing things that constitutionally, some of us from a democratic say it's not right. You've seen other countries across the board. But with the advent of social media, information flow is very quick. So what you think you could have gotten away some years back, and it take maybe a month, 2 months, sometimes even a year for people to even know that something has happened. Now, as it's happening, people are getting the information. Maximum 24 hours, everybody knows what's going on. And with that level of information flow, coupled with fake news, it behoves on these institutions to be more vigilant in what they do, how they do it, and be seen to be extremely transparent. If they're not transparent or transparent, it creates a problem for those countries. So let's take a cue from what has happened in other African countries, and let's take a cue from what is happening in Mozambique. Some people have now lost their lives as a result of the election that took place on Friday. And let Ghana learn from it and make sure that we continue to be the bastion of democracy in the West African sub-region, and more importantly in Africa, come the 7th of December 2024.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Honorable Sebiofia. Solomon, what is running through my head is that usually when these conversations come up, we're only thinking about the people. Of course, we are the ones who are important, because, you know, the powers of government spring from us. Now, what about the safety of politicians?
Thank you very much. I mean, I agree largely with what Honorable has said. Underlining or underpinning all this confusion is that winner-takes-all mentality that we have in Africa. All of us pay taxes. Yet when one political party wins power, and they want to arrogate all the resources in the country to themselves. How did we get to this point? That instead of coming to serve all of us, and even in our campaigning, listen to the sort of campaigning that currently we are doing. Each political party is saying that given the opportunity, they will come and serve the interest of their members. And that for me is a worrying development that we need to go back. I mean, we have to change that mindset. We have to begin to think nationalistic. Politicians must behave as nationalists. And that is why always and always the confusion on the continent is about elections. All our problems emanate from elections. Ruling party wants to rig opposition party wants to come in. When opposition party comes to power, they also adopt the strategy of the ruling party that tries to rig. So it's a cycle, all because of greed and money power. And so it threatens the very survival of the politicians themselves. A lot of politicians have gone into exile because of some of these things. You remember somewhere 2011, 2010 there of how Laurent Gbagbo and his people had to flee. He was even arrested. But supporters of his ruling party had to flee Côte d'Ivoire because of their own deeds. in our own country, because of politics, a lot of people went into exile. They only came back to this country in the mid-90s because of the fear of being arrested or killed. And that is why we must learn that useful lessons from it, that we will try and behave in a way and manner that will assure national cohesion. You understand? That once you build it and express across, if I am eating, if the ordinary man is having his basic necessities of life, who cares about you being the president or the minister? Nobody cares about that. And nobody wants to know whether or not you are driving limousine or Bugatti or whatever. All that the person is concerned about is his daily bread, where he will sleep, what he will wear. That is all. These are the three basic necessities of life. And many a times, politicians make the mistake of thinking that your needs is the same needs of that ordinary man. That is not the case. Look, as we speak, maybe you are wishing to get a big house at East Legon. I can tell you, go to my village, the concern of that old woman there is about how to go and buy some cocoa beans, which is about 200 cedis. That is the only problem in this world. But when that woman comes to tell you, you think she's smart. But that's what she needs. You understand? So let us develop that spirit of service. After all, you say you are coming to serve. Mozambique should have learned from their own checkered history, gaining independence from Portugal. They went through a long period of civil war. You understand? Before finally they said they will settle on democracy. This very leader, the way he struggled to become president, now he has been given power. See what he's also doing to the opposition. You have killed 2 people. Mind you, these opposition people, they also have supporters. And you see, many a times people think the military is mightier than the citizens. No way. The military, and for that matter, the security agencies, they derive their authority from the ordinary people that think they don't have strength. Right. The day those ordinary people will say enough is enough, there will not be any military. I'm telling you, the military people themselves will run. You get my point? That is why always, we have given ourselves rules of engagement. Like in our case, we are going into election. All of us know the movement for change has written to the Electoral Commission. Madam J. Mensah, there are certain things you are doing A, B, C, D. Correct it. You say no, you will still go ahead and do what pleases you. When it happens like that, and we believe that on election day, we had more votes, but by virtue of your actions and inactions, we did not get what we were, it was expected of us. Do you think we will agree? And we have huge support base. Just one word, who push people onto the street. But nobody wants to get there. Why? If I'm living here, the mere fact that Honorable is president, it doesn't change my status. I will still be living in my small corner. Though I'll go and worry him small sometime. But even with that, the number of security checks you go through, it is not his fault. But the state will ring fence him so that you can't get that much needed access. But you have to survive. So my brothers in Mozambique, though you are in South Africa, whatever affects you, affects all of us. You must rethink the government of the day must not be using state power to be doing whatever pleases it. They must behave within the rules of engagement and ensure that free and fair happens. Then we can all move on. After all, it's not a do and die affair. Life always goes. Yeah. Yes, we have some of us have been in opposition for that long. I was in government and I was in opposition. I survived. I properly came to opposition. And I'm still okay. Yeah. So it doesn't mean anything. It's just a matter of you all want to develop the country. This one says we can go to Kumasi through Cape Coast. The other one says we can go to Kumasi through Isawong. What is the big deal about it? So let us refrain from what they are doing.
All right. Thank you very much, Solomon Owusu. It's a movement. That's what I choose to call it.
It's a movement.
It's your reaction. It's your reaction that gets me, excited. But our viewers also have something to say. I don't know why our viewers do not like to comment on the African stories. They'll just go straight into attacking NDC and MPP. But okay, let me read a few. This one says that, good morning, Ohima and panel. What at all is wrong with Afenyo Markings and his group? Okay, we are coming to that subject. The disqualified MPs and their constituents are not complaining. What has MPP taken this case why is supposed to say why are MPP or why has NPP taking this case personal? Are these disqualified constituents more human than the people of Sal? Question mark. The NPP and the Supreme Court are threats to Ghana's democracy. Why is common sense not common to some people at all? What was good to the goose yesterday is no more good for the gander. That is from Lulubi. Okay, it's actually from Sal. Let me take this one too. Says, in many constitutional democracies, the judiciary, especially the highest court, often has the final say on constitutional issues through a process known as judicial review. The courts have the authority to invalidate laws or actions that they find unconstitutional. This power of judicial review allows the judiciary to act as a check on the other branches of government and uphold the supremacy of the Constitution. So please, the Speaker has rushed in his verdict and should stop that. Okay, so we have varied opinions when it comes to this very subject matter, and when we raise the issue, what comes to mind is the rule of law, separation of powers, checks and balances, and you know, the powers that each arm of government has. Now, people have said that the NPP is right to seek some sort of interpretation from the Supreme Court. Some have also said that on what grounds would they seek interpretation, because Article 97 is clear. There's no ambiguity whatsoever. There's no rivalry in its meaning. And so it is clear, and that the Speaker is right to have acted based on that directive enshrined in the Constitution. We haven't heard from you since this sprouted in Parliament, so I want to hear from you, your thoughts, what you think about this whole event, and then I think we'll extend the conversation to the minority shifting to majority and vice versa. Yes.
Firstly, I think that it's imperative for us to understand that separation of powers is a real thing, where you have your executive, you have your legislature, and you have your judiciary. The executive, even though it involves elected members by virtue of the Constitution saying 50% plus one must be part and parcel of the government, of MPs, they are still a separate body from the executive. And the judiciary is the one that doesn't have any elected bodies on it. It's there. Theirs is to interpret any conflicts between interpretation of our Constitution. You have to go about it in a way that does not give the impression that you are bigger than any of the other bodies. Because the Constitution gives you separate parts and what you are supposed to do. So you have to be careful when you are dealing with, when the executive is dealing with the judiciary, when the judiciary is dealing with the legislature, etc. They all have to understand their parts and try not to create conflict.
Right.
And you would hope that, excuse me to say, that common sense will prevail when you are making certain decisions. And what do I mean? And I'm not talking about the merits even of the case yet. Somebody has brought a problem regarding one of these powerful bodies. My first question is, why do you listen to it on its own? What was the rush? Why should it be an ex parte application? You are dealing with a very senior constitutional body, which on the face of it is at par with you. So, in order not to create a conflict, the first thing that I think should have been done was, we have heard you, but we need to have them present. So as for your ex parte application, we shan't deal with it here. Come in 48 hours, we'll put them on notice. Let them also come and have their say. That is the first fundamental problem for me with the case.
Natural justice.
Yes. Because you are not dealing with some plaintiff or some defendant from elsewhere, you know, and you are the judge. No, you are dealing with a body that in some people's eyes isn't equivalent to you in the Constitution. They have their way, you have your way. Yes, yours is interpretation, but give them their due. And what would have happened if they had the hearing today, as opposed to making a ruling when they did? Parliament wasn't even sitting at the time. So the thing has come before you. And it's interesting. The day the thing was set is the same day that the ruling was made. It was everything happened on one day. It's almost as if it was cooked, waiting for it to happen. It wasn't even the next day. The very same day, decision made. No. All they had to do is, look, you can't do this. Is a legislature. So before we have make a decision on this matter, for us to understand whether you even have a merit in this matter at all, for us to grant that type of an injunction or a stay of execution, let me correct my language, then it means that we've heard from the other side. But they didn't do that. And immediately, they've put themselves in a position where the thing is smelling, excuse me to say. Because you are in a political heightened season. You are going to election. The decision you are making has an impact on the election, indirectly. So, at least, and you see, even, I'll even go one step further. The EC, the MPP majority at the time, now minority, took the matter to court. There's an interested party called the NDC, who is not a matter to it, but they have a very huge interest in what is going to happen. So when you do the expert, you find a way to call them in, so that they are also have their views, because it affects them directly. So if the court can do this type of gymnastics, they can do that type of gymnastics too. You understand? You say, look, we are going to have inter-parties, but we seem to have a very interested party in this matter. So at least let them be here. They may not have, but let them hear. Let us also have a view of what they are saying in the matter. And you are not even there to judge the case. You are being told that you want to have a stay of the proceedings. The first question you should be asking yourself is, have they done anything that requires me to stay the execution? If you now just take a glimpse at some of the issues, all you'll be saying is that, well, we'll set this thing for a full trial, for a date for a hearing on this thing. But in order not to interfere with the powers of people, we won't touch it. Look, I was campaign coordinator for the NDC in 2008. On, I think, the 1st of January, New Year's Day, holiday, the MPP went for an ex parte application to stay the issues with regard to time. You remember? We heard about it and we appeared in the court. Then we told the judge, well, we are here. We were not invited, but that's the thing, we are party to it. And the judge just said, I will not grant any injunction. I will stay it till, I think it was the 8th or the this of January, which means the election is over. But he didn't, he just said, I will stay it because I want to hear the case properly. In effect, he left it. That was a sensible judge. Don't touch it at that stage. Excuse me to say, I'm not saying anybody is not sensible. Don't get me wrong. But I'm saying that decision was a sensible decision. Leave it. You are dealing with a parliament. Why touch it? They have made their decision on the matter. And the fact is that if you look at the wording and the arguments that were put forward by the speaker, you ask yourself what was so difficult about what the speaker did. And they even waited. They could have started raising this thing from before. They waited for the EC to declare people's positions. And then you look at the argument coming from the MPP side, that this doesn't affect the current parliament. It's for future. I mean, but
it wasn't really an issue when Sal was deprived of representation for 4 years.
This is why I'm saying that the position is very volatile. The Supreme Court should not have made any decision on that matter that day. They should have just adjourned it. And I'm not talking of procedure without going into any merits.
Yeah.
They should just have adjourned the matter till today. Call all the parties, including interested parties, including even the EC. Because there are issues. It's about election. You don't have to call it, but the NDC is directly involved. You see, when the majority changes, the last few laws that have to be passed have to be, the paper that is brought before Parliament is run by the majority side. You understand?
Yeah.
So there are even implications for what happens, the other paper,
yeah,
and how it goes about when you have majority and minority. As a result of that, it becomes imperative that there are a lot of interested parties. Maybe I stretch it if I push it to the EC, but the NDC. But even if they don't bring the NDC, the person most affected in this is the EC.
Yeah.
And is the Parliament of Ghana. And I cannot see how the Parliament of Ghana, an ex-party application is granted against them and they are not present. And it's not going to affect anything. If you had given it 48 hours, even 72 hours, and say, look, why? When the majority, the then majority, who are now minority, the MPP, decided that they were unhappy, they walked out. So technically, you have a parliament that people have walked out. Fine. Put the hearing to Monday. Short notice. Everybody can prepare their papers. Serve this person, serve that person. You come on Monday, haven't had enough time. We'll hear on Tuesday. Parliament will adjourn to the Wednesday. Hear what they have to say on the issue. And the days they are giving, 7 days for this, 7 days for why? 7 why? A court that can say that the defendant must be in court every day, even when the person, you know how to rush things when it's necessary. Wait, why? It's a the case is not complicated. 7 days, 48 hours come, 48 hours, even 24 hours, because it's an important matter. 24 hours, go and do your paperwork. You are lawyers. Yes, we understand it. You don't sleep. You type paper, you put this, you all sit down at the table, you argue, you go and present to the judges. Why did they do this? So now you have a constitutional crisis, and the courts are not in it. Because you see, Parliament has its own laws and its own granted to it by the Constitution. They have applied a power given to them by the Constitution. And people are now going to try possibly interpret that power doesn't exist. At this point. And there has been precedent. You see, that's and the arguments that it was never challenged when Michael Quay did it. You see, that is not even for me, Michael Quay is the second leg. The first leg is that the 1979 Constitution had a clause like that. It was wishy-washy. It gave too much space. So when it had a matter that came into the court, and the court ruled some way. When they were doing 1992 Constitution, you could see that they looked at the thing, and they amended that Constitution to make it very clear what is required. In that Constitution, at no point do they say that it is effective on this time. Why? The thing is now, the Parliament is sitting now. It's not like we are doing a new constituency or this where there's conflicting. No, it's clear. This is the sitting Parliament. If you are in this position, you are no longer a member of Parliament. The Speaker has applied it. He has waited for there to be a notice of poll. The notice of poll is an official document that says where you are. And you have decided that I'm here. I'm no longer here. How can you sit in Parliament on that? It is so obvious that it becomes worrying that you, and now I'm going to marry, so I'll leave that. Let me get into rather the process and the procedure. It is a slap in the face of Parliament. You don't do this. They have no business. Let me couch my words properly, because they will hold you. I withdraw. They should not have made that ruling at the time as an ex parte application. No. There was no rush. What was the haste? Nothing has changed. They could have done it on Monday, call all the parties. Oh, this matter has come before us. We do not think it is right to do it ex parte. Inter parties meet us on Monday. And then they will not have to justify their case. Will not have to justify their case. And that to be it. So for them to do what they did, for me, I'm not going into the merits or the merits. The process is an abuse of Parliament's powers. Because at the very least, to grant that, they should have been party to the ex parte application, to stay an execution of the process. Shouldn't have been done ex parte. It should have been inter partes, so that Parliament. So I rest my case. I don't want to go too much. Parliament has also the majority, and I mean here NDC majority, has now put out a statement on where they see themselves. As far as they are concerned, they are still a majority, and quite rightly, in my humble opinion. And then there are going to be issues. We are in what we call beautiful constitutional jurisprudence going forward. But as I said, Michael Kwe has ruled on a matter like this in the past. So for Parliament, there's precedent they have. And that the argument that it was never challenged at the time, if they had been challenged in the court, is neither here nor there for the Parliament. Parliament is a house of its own. It has a president, it has the constitutional provision. It's worked on the constitutional provision before and made a ruling. The Speaker has had the same constitutional provision, he has made a ruling. Why? So let's wait and see. Right,
absolutely. So thank you very much, Dr. Marazuk. Because Dr. Marazuk just entered, I was going to introduce him. So good morning, Dr. Marazuk. Welcome.
Good morning.
How's it been?
They want me to start speaking Arabic.
Welcome.
Thank you so much.
I'll invite you shortly to give your comments on the subject matter, but let me bring Solo in.
Yes, this one, I don't know why we have to sweat over this matter. It's a very straightforward matter. But it has a lot of useful lessons, particularly to political parties and how we do our internal politicking. The mafia business that people are so much interested in. This is where it ends. You ask yourself, why would someone start as a member of a party and in a dying minute say, I want to cross carpet? Because of very bad internal management. They look straight into your face. Ohima is not with our clique. Let us just go and do bad, evil to Ohima. Ohima is a human being, has family, has acquaintances, will react as any natural human being would do. Say, well, if this is what you want to do to me, then take your party, let me take myself. That was the situation with Andrew ACHIAA in 2020 when he decided to go as an independent candidate. And there again, the New Patriotic Party wrote beautifully. I remember vividly.
I'm sure you were part of that.
I was part of it. And I didn't have any problem with it. You see, in terms of the position that the NPP took that time, they were only respecting the constitution of the NPP. That the moment you declare your intention that you are going as an independent or supporting a candidate other than the party's candidate, you are out of the party. So the General Secretary and any member of the party, you have to agree. And so I'm very surprised this time around. And that is the more reason why people see politicians as not being truthful. Why is it that yesterday it was white, today you say it's black? I don't get it. And you have people in society that ought to know and also be a shining example, towing a totally different line, which they didn't do yesterday. The NPP members of parliament who today are challenging the speaker's verdict. What was their position yesterday? And mind you, when the general secretary of the party writes, it means every party member agrees. You agreed, you allowed a ACHIAA seat to be declared vacant, and indeed it was vacant. A ruling was given today. The same, and interesting, ACHIAA is also involved once again.
Yeah.
He that went is back. The same situation, same fact, and we have people defending it. Now, when I see people different, in fact, John Boni himself, who signed that letter, the last time I was listening to him, initially he was being bold, but later he realized that, hey, if I don't take care, I'll be skinned alive. So he started shifting posts. I said, you are not man enough. A is A. So Speaker Bagwin did not do anything wrong. I believe that the Supreme Court will do itself the greatest honor by beginning to stay out of some of these tricky political cases. They have to. It's not every matter.
But don't you think the Supreme Court, in its own operations and its wisdom, knows not to interfere in parliamentary business?
No, but the point is that don't let us make the mistake that Supreme Court judges are saints. That is the mistake we are making. They are human beings like you and I. They make mistakes daily. Do you remember they said birth certificates could not determine whether or not you were a Ghanaian? Would even a secondary school student behave like that?
I mean, in the same vein, just like an ordinary constitutional law student will know that Supreme Court can't just out of the blue, out of the vacuum, interfere in parliamentary business.
Look, listen to the funny aspect of this case. And I also blame the NGC as well. You know why I blame the NGC? But
you always blame
but because for me, you have a very good case. What was the business of Haruna Idrisu going on the campaign platform to announce that you were going to do this to the opposition? What was it?
Political demagoguery, obviously.
That is all strategic, and it really gives me a different view about him. You know why? For him to have said that Afenyo went to court ahead of the parliament. Is that not it? What was the case he took to court?
Interpretation.
How did he know that Speaker Bagwin was going to rule in a certain way, for which reason he went to court? So it means the very case that he took to court would have even would change based on the ruling of the Speaker. But he did that because someone went on the platform and said that Tuesday we are going to move the motion. You have your leader of parliament, but minority leader. He's supposed to spearhead some of these things.
Yeah.
So why was the rush? Can you imagine if this thing was sprung to them as a surprise on Tuesday?
There'll be no time.
Now you'll be thinking about wanting to go and file.
There'll be no time.
You understand? So for me, they have a very good case. Then majority of Ghanaians know the in and out of it. They can see red from black because they know that this is politically arranged. The Supreme Court is behaving politically, sided with one political party. But they should have. The party should have been tactical enough. I believe it was totally needless, and that if there is any rancor, it was because someone gave the hint on the platform, and they prepared, and that is why politics is an expensive enterprise. Sometimes the way a lot of people think, so me, I don't trust. When I go to meeting, I look at people's faces, I say this man, see the way he's laughing here, he's recording, you go and even tell the other side. Are you with me? And I'm telling you, these are serious matters. I'll be joking about it, but I'm telling you that for him to have done that was not strategic enough. But coming back, you understand? Yes, he's a lawyer. You know when you go on an ex parte motion or application, the worst the judge could do is to grant that stay of 10 days. I have done some before. But where from these consequential orders? You have granted the stay. Now you are instructing Parliament that based on they don't, as it were, actualize your position. For what? You can stay there for the 10 days. Yes, after the 10 days, if nothing happens, they'll carry on with it. Because if you mean business, if you really mean business, within the 10 days, you can do your things right for us to go and argue this matter in court. That's all. Now you have stayed the decision in perpetuity from where I sit. You understand? Because of the political nature. Because the minority will become majority, majority will be minority. And in their own view, certain bills will not go through. Then let's stay it in perpetuity. What happened yesterday? What was wrong with it? What was wrong with it? I believe that our Supreme Court must, encourage the people of this country to trust them. And that if you are going to follow President Akufo-Addo together with this NPP, they will go down with you. They are going down with a lot of institutions. See the way the Electoral Commission do every statement they issue. At the end of the day, they say trust our integrity. Why must you always tell us that you must trust your integrity? But you yourself believe that we don't trust you. I read somewhere that the Chief Justice was saying in church that she wished
this should pass her by.
Why would she say that? Because she knows that there has been a lot of backlash. Saturday I was in Kumasi, the market women that do not even understand the legal as it were operations. They were talking about this matter at Kenya when we were doing our work. That is, they almost say these are the words on the street. And when you have society beginning to say judges are not truthful, it's dangerous because I go to court a lot. You understand? It may not be the situation, but because of the political nature, everything has been turned into politics in this country, and the Supreme Court is also feeding into it. It's not good for us. So for me, you ask yourself that simple question: Speaker Bagwin, did he have that right to declare a seat vacant? Yes, it is within their standing orders.
Yeah.
You understand? And what he did, does it conform to the Constitution? As you read this Article 97G.
Yeah.
It's so clear. But if you are telling that it's not for this present parliament and then the next parliament, but the next parliament, the man has told you that he's going as an independent candidate. What would you do to him in the next parliament? That he decided to go as an independent in 2025 parliament, so his seat has to be declared vacant.
I mean, the Constitution also did not say that this very provision applies to prospective decisions or prospective plans.
So and especially when we have a president, only last 4 years. Only last 4 years we had it. Nobody spoke about it. Nobody cried about it. And by the way, the lawyers that went to court, I understand one of their beliefs was that the constituents were not going to have representation, and so they were there to protect the right of these MPs. Were they engaged by these MPs or something? What about sir?
For 4 years.
Jachi question. He had to be barred from entering parliament. Why are we doing this? You know, sometimes when you wake up and realize that we are undeveloped, this is because of some of these things. And I'm so sad for this country.
Yeah, I agree.
Adults must behave as adults. Anyway, I'll end it here. Maybe a doctor has a different dimension.
Right, a doctor definitely has a lot of things. Yeah. Okay, before I bring Doc in, this one is coming from Ibrahim. He says that the Supreme Court has to be in touch with the reality of the rules and laws in Parliament and not to be in bed with this failed NPP government. What the 5 judges did yesterday is unconstitutional. NPP will surely lose this year's general election because they have failed in all sectors of Ghana's economy. Fellow Ghanaians, let's vote massively for the humble and hard-working John Dramani Mahama and the great NDC on December 7th to reset our nation in the right direction. Long live Mamprugu, Ibrahim Bishela. Okay, Ibrahim, thank you for that. This one's also coming from Samson. It says, good morning, Ohema. The Supreme Court's unanimous FC, that's funny, unanimous FC really, should stop interfering in the business of Parliament. The Speaker of Parliament is being bullied, reason best known by the NPP and their allied, and they are allied, the unanimous, I'm not sure, or maybe they are allied, the unanimous FC. Right, the unanimous FC thing is becoming recent. I mean, during the weekend, I was watching some of the political discussions, and someone said that it is. I mean, word on the street is that the Chief Justice has now been referred to as the women's organizer for the NPP.
Yes, I heard that too.
And I'm saying, why are people like this? Why are people like this? Okay, let me take this last one and bring Doc in. Pan-African TV, good morning to you and your panelists. I am always enthused with discussions on Pan-African TV. What a hypocrisy and the double standards being displayed by MPP. MPP is a political party. As a political party, is not truthful as many think. My question is, if Michael Quay were to be the speaker now, how differently would he have dealt with this issue of these 4 MPs vacating their seats? In the hearts and rights sense, MPP, these 4 MPs did they actually vacate their seats? Okay. All right, Ben Avugla, we hear you, and we'll be reading more comments and messages coming from you, but at this point let me just bring Doc in. Doc, I'm sure you're privy to the subject, what's happening in Parliament, and you know what we're expecting tomorrow. Tomorrow is tomorrow, so we're expecting something tomorrow, definitely.
Right. Good morning to the cherished viewers of ours, and good morning to my co-panelists. Let me apologize for being unconventional in 2 forms. I will apologize for only one. The other one is positive. I will apologize for the negative one. The negative one is that I have come late, and that is unconventional. I don't come late, so I apologize for that.
Yeah.
The positive one is a shift from African wear to Western wear, and that one is positive. Positive because it is a matter of fashion variety and cultural assimilation.
My full comments on
I am an international troll.
Yes. I'm drinking too much tea.
You see?
I'm a member of this establishment and I'm wearing suits, so you don't have a problem. You don't have a problem.
So sometimes we have to remember our British days. You know?
Right.
Okay. So I have 2 wise sayings that may go for both MPP and NDC. One, when a strategy is mishandled, it becomes a tragedy. You have a strategy, you've not been able to handle it very well, it becomes a tragedy. Number 2, a challenge to one of us should be seen in the interest of patriotism as an opportunity for all of us. So on the face value, what happens is not good, but in a deep sense, it is the best for the Republic of Ghana. Democratic constitutionalism is not static. It is supposed to develop. It is supposed to grow. And as we grow, we will encounter these and similar things that will shape our constitutional journey. It is only one thing that we should be assured of. That is the ability to learn from what has happened. And before I go ahead, let me tell you that because law, because you are a law student, because law is highly technical, it has given people the opportunity in both political parties to become apostles of misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation about this issue. There has been a whole lot of misinformation, propaganda about this from both political parties. Let me give you a classic example. Both are claiming that one organ of the government, or some members of both parties, let me put it that way so that I'll be fair, some members of both parties, some propagandists of both parties are claiming that one organ of governance, either the legislature or the judiciary, is supreme. It is not the case.
Yeah, it can't be the case.
It can be that Parliament is so supreme, it can do whatever it wants without any check. That is false. That is not true. So when a propagandist tries to make you believe that Parliament can do anything without checks, let that person know that it is not true. Ours is not parliamentary supremacy.
Right.
Ours is not the Westminster system practiced in the UK. That is the parliamentary democracy, where parliament is supreme, and we are told that parliament can do everything with the exception of changing a man into a woman. Now that we even have bisexual and whatever technical, I think when that parliament is given the opportunity, it can change a man into a woman by technological means. So that is parliamentary supremacy. That is the Westminster system or the British parliamentary system. Ours is the American presidential system with a bit of components in the British features. But those components do not cover parliamentary supremacy. So we don't have parliamentary supremacy. So it is not true that parliament can do anything without checks. Ours is based on checks and balances. Parliament can be checked, the judiciary can be checked, the executive can be checked. We should know that. Another side of the argument is that the judiciary can do anything, and that when even parliament is right, the judiciary can take away, can violate the right of the parliament. It is not true. So you have NDC extremists who are telling you that parliament is right, is absolutely right, because it can do anything without checks and balances. That's not true. It's false. You have MPP extremists, propagandists, who are saying that once the judiciary has spoken, it is okay. The judiciary can do anything against the parliament. It is not true. It is not. So what we should understand is that as a nation, this should be a lesson for us to discourage partisanship and encourage patriotism. This should be a lesson for us to understand the tyranny of duopoly. What is happening is a matter of NDC and NPP being paid in their own coin. They are the symbols of duopoly in this country. I'm not saying that duopoly is at all times wrong, no, because we have had advanced democracies that have been characterized by duopoly. You have the Democrats and the Republicans in the US, yeah. You have the Conservatives and the Labour, and in UK. Yeah. These are advanced democracies based on duopoly. But in those societies, you have rules, you have systems, you have principles that guide the democracy and saves the democratic dispensation from the dangers of duopoly. In ours, no. Look at the checks, the lunatics of nonsense. Why? So the kind of duopoly I'm talking about is that, I'm not saying that we should dismantle NDC and MPP, no, because we should also be fair to them. Since the dawn of the Fourth Republic, these two political parties have contributed tremendously to our democratic journey. We cannot overlook that. But their contribution is so enormous. We thank them for that. But we should find a way of making them responsible, making the kind of duopoly they enjoy productive in the interest of the Republic of Ghana. You know what is happening? Simply, it is not about parliament. It is not about the legislature. Sorry, it's not about the judiciary. It's not about the legislature, parliament, or the judges. No, it is not. It is about the executive. And you have made it clear. I mean, when you said we should learn lessons from that, why should, and then the birth of the executive is the political party, because it's the political party that gives birth to the executive, right? So it is the executive. So let's hold the executive responsible. Whatever happens in this country is traceable to the executive, because the kind of powers given to the presidency, which is the symbol of the executive, and that is why we are all suffering. There's no way, if it is true that there have been interferences, there's no way the interferences cannot be traceable to the executive. If it is true that Parliament has been asked to act in a way, which is possible, because we have had allegations of MP taking money and passing and approving ministers. If it is true, yes, we have had those allegations. I think you are aware. Yes. If it is true that Parliament has been asked to act in a certain way, I'm telling you, we will trace it to the executive. If it is true that the judiciary has been intimidated to act in a certain way, trace it to the executive. So let us not take away the executive from the equation. I strongly believe, I don't want to go into the technicalities. We have had a lot of, and I have learned a lot. If I hadn't come, if my lateness had not covered your submission, I would have been very sad, because I've learned a lot from your legal expertise. People like you can educate us, but I'm begging you, Uncle, with all due respect, when you are educating us, separate expertise from politics. Because I have learned a lot. All that you have said, for me, if you ask me as a linguist, I can say that it is a matter of procedural error. That is my summary. Procedural error. And when the procedure is wrong, the conclusion will be wrong.
Procedural error on whose side?
I mean, from the way we got the procedural error on
has dealt with it.
With the court, okay.
Because the procedure hasn't been in line with the norms.
You see,
right?
The sad part of it is that this is why I started off by saying that
sometimes you have to look at a situation and be very clever about where you are.
yes,
Legally, they haven't done anything wrong. In law,
yes,
they have decided that they have heard the case, but they should have known better than to hear that case that day. That's what I'm saying. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not saying in law they've acted wrongly. Yeah. Let me be.
No.
You understand?
I'm not coming there.
Yes.
I'm coming there, Uncle. You see, that's what I'm saying, that when you are educating us, separate politics from expertise. Yeah. You see, you understand that.
That's why I tried not to go into the merits.
Yes,
because I'm pure on the merits.
you see, it is only sincerity that will allow you to see facts from fiction.
Right.
And when you are not able to see facts from fiction, you are confusing all that. You are not being fair to whatever. Let us understand that people are there lambasting the judiciary. I'm happy you have said it. Let us understand that. The judiciary, in the first place, do not initiate cases. The Supreme Court judges do not. They are there. They are there. You will have to bring your cases. Look, there have been instances that lawyers will go to the Supreme Court, just recently. Lawyers will go to the Supreme Court, and then cases have been there, filing nil, and people are making political statements about what they are supposed to do as lawyers.
They didn't do.
But they will find space, come to the court of public opinion, in media, to practice law there, confuse people, bombard us with misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation, just to secure cheap political points. They don't do that. So sometimes we need to also be careful about the way we talk about the judiciary. The judges do not initiate cases. They were there. Somebody brought the case. The person brought it on an unconventional procedure, and they entertain it and pronounce a judgment. Technically, the judgment of the Supreme Court must be respected by everybody. Technically, I'm saying technically, not politically, not by convenient, not conveniently, not politically, technically and constitutionally. The judgment of the Supreme Court must be respected. As to whether that judgment is fair or not, I leave it to the experts. I am not a lawyer, but I'm a man of common sense. My dear, let me conclude by saying that what has happened should be an opportunity for the entire nation, and not a mere challenge to NDC or NPP. Let us also take this as an opportunity to glorify patriotism over partisanship. Let our partisanship be in the interest of the Republic of Ghana. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doc.
I just want to clarify one very
Yes, Honorable.
aspect. You know, in the jurisprudence of law, it has been established that bad laws are not laws to be followed. The Nuremberg trials are the basis for that. The defense of a lot of the military officers was that there was an order from above, which was Hitler and the Third Reich, and therefore they were following orders. So they are not directly responsible for the atrocities they meted out on the people of Germany, especially the Jews. It has been totally made clear that if you are following bad law, you have no excuse, because there's a bigger rule of law, and that must always be followed. So even though we have
well educated uncle, but I think you should educate us.
Yes.
Is it the right for anybody to assume that a Supreme Court pronouncement is bad, to assume based on the assumption and therefore disregard it? Is it right?
No.
I'm posing this question because I want to learn, and for the audience to learn. Is it right? Educate us based on your expertise.
Now,
I'm sorry for hijacking you.
No, I mean it's for the benefit of our viewers as well.
Let me land on where I was. Yes. You see, in that scenario, a lot of people were then subsequently jailed and lost their lives for actions they took, which they thought were legitimate. It wasn't. Because the overriding rule of law is above any constitutional provision that exists. It must follow the rule, and the Constitution itself says natural justice must prevail.
Sure.
Now, you have a situation where you can have a standoff. That is the jurisprudence of our Constitution. Because Parliament has its powers also from within the Constitution. And so if you violate their rules and they stand on their ground and say, no, that same Constitution we believe is acting like that, and you say we are the interpreters of the Constitution, we are saying that it should behave like that, you get a standoff.
So it is right to assume that it is.
So that is the only point which you make, is that there must be a meeting of minds. Exactly. And people must go around the table and discuss it.
Yes.
Because in effect,
yes,
you see, courts of themselves and their nature demonstrate that they are capable of mistakes.
They are human beings.
Yes.
They are not angels.
You don't have. Why? When you appeal, you go before 3 judges.
Of course.
In some, when you go to Supreme Court, you go behind 5. When the Supreme Court even makes a decision and they want to review, they add another 2 to the review. Yes. So by their very nature, we accept that mistakes can be made. Yes. But that is why I am saying that, look, sometimes you have to be very sharp. Excuse me to say. Don't enter into something at a certain stage. You see, you are talking book and smart. We are in a real situation. They should just have removed themselves from this matter.
Decline the objection.
Not let all the parties at least be present. You see, look, it's not that somebody is challenging or who has got the power. Because the truth of the matter is that somebody somewhere tomorrow can rule that the Supreme Court had no business making that type of ruling. And the same Supreme Court can say that. We have seen decisions made in the Supreme Court which are subsequently overturned. So you are in a real situation now, and you have to be in order to give you transparency to the parties. Let everybody come,
make the case.
Because it is not so urgent that. You see, this is why I'm saying that. I hear you.
No, Uncle, I'm sorry.
Yes.
You see, I think you have explained all.
Yes.
We are going back.
Yes.
All I want us to know.
Yes.
Me, I want to learn.
Yes.
I'm a learner.
Yes.
To teach is to learn twice.
Yes.
So every lecturer is the senior learner.
Yes.
So I want you to educate me.
Yes.
If you ask me to use my common sense, I can tell you, I can
Sure,
after that I can tell you my common sense, not by law, but my common sense that I think will be in the best interest of the Republic of Ghana. I will tell you later. But my point is that, is it right for anybody to assume that a pronouncement of Supreme Court is wrong and therefore disregard it? Is it right? If you think it is not right,
it is not. It's this argument of disregard. You don't disregard, but you have a right to challenge.
Exactly. So that's exactly what I want you to say.
You know.
So when you say that
to challenge.
So let me also now give my ordinary common sense view. I strongly believe that both NDC and MPP should not expose the Republic of Ghana to international ridicule tomorrow. I strongly believe that whoever feels offended, dissatisfied by this ruling should go for a review. Am I right?
Okay, let me ask you a question, Dr. Mazu.
No, am I right?
You see, no, you are not right. Let me explain why.
We're learning law today. We're learning law. I'm going to read the messages, but let's just soak this in. Yeah.
They want to talk about paper.
Yes.
Go and tell the people of Sao.
Yes.
Go and tell the people of Sao.
Yes.
What do you think? This is a joke?
Yes.
It's not a, look, Dr. Mazuk, this is not a joke. So you have deprived people for 4 years without representation. And everybody thinks that we are going to talk about, we've gone to courts. Are we not in courts? What is the decision? So that is the most gravest travesty of our fourth republic. That the people of South up to today, they cannot vote. And you are telling us, go through this procedure, go through this procedure. When the very same people who are complaining have already done it before, remove people, and the thing is clear as daylight. Why? We are washing our face up. I'm making it clear here that you are talking academia and trying to put, no. We will not. Ghanaians, we are tired. We won't take it anymore.
But I want to know I want to know.
You see, if you are not going for a review, uncle, what is your position? So what is your position?
Yes, so I'm going to let you come in. Yes. But Doc, let me find out from you. Yes. What do you think the solution is?
No, that's what I've told you. I'm saying that the solution is that
you go for the judiciary review.
Let's use the official channel.
But the initiation of this whole contention was supposed to be a judicial review. Yeah. It was for a declaration that whether or not Article 97, to interpret it and what the speaker did was constitutional or unconstitutional.
I'm saying that, when the Supreme Court...
So if the Supreme Court just comes to, make a pronouncement, why do we need...
We are missing a point.
Yeah.
No, the substantive matter. Yes. The substantive matter has not been dealt with.
No.
That is what the problem is.
Oh, okay. My point.
It's an injunction.
It's a stay of execution.
It's a strategy that people will. I have a matter with you, Dr. Mazugo. There are people around to court that, hey, injunct this person from carrying out this.
On his blind side.
On his blind side. You were not given an opportunity to also argue your case. Why that stay or that injunction must be put there?
So you now understand why I say that there's too much of misinformation.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm asking because I want to know. You see, until now, many Ghanaians, and I want to believe many of those who
the matter has not been touched.
Think that it is the substantive matter.
No.
Been dealt with.
No. So that is why we have a problem with it.
Exactly. The guy the case to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court didn't take the time to put it aside for others to come and speak, and has given a complete stay of a speaker's decision.
So I also make consequential of that. Do not bar these 4 MPs from entering Parliament until the matter is resolved. So when are you going to have this matter fully resolved?
I mean, this is a legal gymnastic. We all know that this is a legal gymnastic. But uncle, I'm still saying.
I agree with you.
Exactly.
But I'm saying that.
Let me just shift this in to cool the tension. So I saw this funny post on Twitter, and it says that maybe the client will ask the lawyer, so how long will this case take? And the lawyer reply, the law is a journey and now we are in traffic. So now we are in traffic.
And we are saying that.
We're in traffic.
But we are going to find a way to get out of the traffic. We shall get a motor rider to take us out of the traffic.
Look, my response to that joke is that people's justice should not be colonized by a fabricated traffic.
So this is a
fabricated traffic.
I agree with you, but you see, where I want the criticism to be is this. Look, they could have handled it differently.
I think
if they have done that, we will not be having this argument based on the historical context in which you come. You see, and every time it's like they are belittling Parliament. Every time it's like they are belittling Parliament. You have why all of a sudden the Supreme Court made a decision that AGYEKUM cannot hold himself as a parliamentarian. Meanwhile, he has been elected.
Uncle.
So in all these things, we have the history.
Yes, Uncle.
Then we have got this one too.
Yes.
Abayaro.
No, Uncle.
It has become. But I'll let you give your
right?
yes, please.
Okay,
just a few minutes for that, and I'll read these messages.
I want all of us to understand. We all agree. I mean, I started by saying that you have educated me, and I figured out. And I even brought that phrase. I said procedural error.
Yes.
I have learnt it, and it is true. And that's what based on that, I see that whatever is happening is legal gymnastics. I have said that. But the way forward, in my opinion, should be a matter of diplomacy and constitutionality.
Oh, I mean, that is what is going to happen.
That is it. That is it. That's all that I'm saying.
But the NDC will still stand their grounds that they have the right.
Well, if they do that within the context of
what we will call the positive defiance.
Yes.
Because the NDC is already making pronouncements that they are going to do a private members bill, scrap the e-levy, making plans as to how they are going to operate as a majority.
Yeah. I don't care about what NDC will do and what MPP will do. All I care about is that whoever does anything should be in the interest of the Republic of Ghana.
Right, absolutely.
That's what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
NDC doing anything or MPP doing anything.
Is making
it's only
allegation.
Yes. And you see, both of them, when they stick to their ground,
the directory wants to enter parliament.
Yes, the story has been captured.
That should be resisted by every Ghanaian.
That if they enter parliament tomorrow,
that should be resisted. That should be resisted by every Ghanaian.
But can the army just enter parliament? With the.
People are even saying those people are not for the regular army.
Okay, I'm going to find that.
So Uncle, I think my position is clear.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
We have interesting comments coming from our viewers as well. Let me just go through them. This one says, "Good morning, Madam, whose the speaker did not declare, rather he said he informed." Okay, thank you very much. This one also says, "Good morning, Madam Host. Please, I'm Joe from Kaneshi Mataheko. I want to ask MPP and their intergovernment that are they the only people who go to school? When it was good yesterday, did they complain? You see, we should stop hypocrisy." Okay, yes, Honorable, you're right. What happened in Sal? Are they not human beings? Okay, very well noted. Moving on, this one is still typing. Okay, good morning to you and your panelists. I believe the discussion is being cyclically diverted by Dr. Marazuk. He needs to come out and declare where he stands. The injustices we have seen over the years, where the Supreme Court oversaw and LGBTQ+. I mean, people have argued that a whole nation have sought to hear from the Supreme Court with regards to LGBT and other cases that have been brought before the court. But the Supreme Court, with an expedited action, just answered to the call of one man, who is the majority leader. So that's where the confusion also comes in.
We have been told that it is procedurally wrong.
Yeah.
And we understand that.
Procedural impropriety.
It is not unlawful.
I expect wrong.
When you say it's procedurally wrong, somebody will interpret that what I said is that they acted unlawfully. I haven't said that.
Okay.
I'm saying that in the realms of where we are, when you are in those positions, you must see the best way to deal with the situation.
So is it right?
It's not. You see, but you are trying to. No, please. You see, Dr. Mazuk, in politics, this is why I'm very careful.
Yes.
You have to understand the nuances. I gave you an example.
Yes.
Why? That judge in 2008 could so have issued an injunction. He had the power. He looked at the nuances and said, go for inter-parties this date.
Context.
Yes, because these are interested parties.
Yes.
That is why I gave that example. That's why I'm saying it should happen now. Why? If they had parties, all parties present, and they made that judgment, it doesn't mean that.
So Uncle, you see, what you have said is that it is not right for them to rush. And I'm saying that it's not right for them to rush.
No, but
it is wrong.
You see, I want you to, and you said it.
Yes.
Separate law
from politics.
Facts. In law, they are not wrong. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Well, the Supreme Court has done, what is unlawful about it?
No, I
think that's what I'm trying to get across. You see, they have got certain powers. Somebody, you said it. Somebody has brought something to me. I've made a ruling on it. What is unlawful about it?
So it is right.
It is not right in the context of what is happening in the country.
Exactly. So
but it is right in law. You are talking of lawyers.
Yes.
What is wrong about? You see, you are the one who is mixing the issues. And you are trying to give the impression that there's no middle ground.
Right,
There's no gray.
we'll come to a middle ground.
No.
We will come to a middle ground.
No, please. The
Okay,
middle ground is that
just
you are educating us, and I'm saying that I'm not a lawyer.
Yes.
And you have made us understand
Yes.
that. Let me put it in this way. Within the context, the ration, within the context, not in law. You want me to say that it is not wrong
Yes,
in law?
that's
it
all.
is so, we all know that it is not wrong in law. And I made it. And I made it.
Then I'm fine.
No,
I'm fine.
No, but then
Once you have agreed with that,
But yes,
contextually,
Yeah.
and by procedure, it is not right.
Thank you.
But in law, and I think I even endorse that by saying that when the Supreme Court rules or pronounces, we must all obey it. If you have any reason to disobey it, or if you are dissatisfied, then there are procedures to go for redress. I think I have made it clear. That's all that I want to say. But as for those, I know I anticipate that people will attack me. Let them know that
we have one more.
No, I want to preempt them.
One more topic to discuss.
Their attacks will not attract me to the tyranny of duopoly in this country.
No, yeah, your
their attacks.
Opinions are.
Let their attacks continue.
Yeah.
Let their attacks continue. But I will not at all be perturbed and compelled to worship the dangers of duopoly in this country.
Very well known.
Or to put partisanship over patriotism in this country. I'm not here to please anybody.
Right.
I'm here to speak my mind.
Absolutely.
I'm here to speak for the Republic of Ghana.
As you should.
Let them continue.
As you should. Right. I'll take a few more messages and then we'll just wrap it up with our final topic, our last topic. Madam Presenter, we can pretend not to understand the reality on the ground. The state is blatantly Ghana's sovereignty has been overthrown, like it or not. What is happening in Ghana now deserves the quote of Edmund Burke, which says, whenever a separation is made between liberty and justice, neither, in my opinion, is safe. Good one. This one is coming from Camilos. Okay, Camilos Bongo. All right. This one also says that, good morning, Ohima and your panelists, and your I'm watching live from NKC, Upper West Region. Akufo-Addo is behind what the Supreme Court did. He manipulates all our independent institutions in Ghana because he has packed them with MPP people. Okay. This one too from Alhaji Hamza Pig Farm. Good morning, my dear. Doing all they can to undermine the authority of the Speaker of Parliament simply because he is coming from the opposition party. What happens to separation of powers? The ruling of the Speaker had nothing to do with the interpretation of the Constitution. That will bring the Supreme Court. Okay. I'm not sure what this one is trying to communicate. But please, if you can rephrase that and resend, we will do well to read it. Let me take this last one. Good morning, madam. Please, doctor should come out clearly for us to understand his point. He is a lecturer and we wish to learn from him. Okay, Samuel Azuri. Okay, last one. The messages keep coming, keep coming. Doc, please let me take this one and then I will just give you. This one says that from Real Ghana. Good morning, Madam Host and your able panelists watching you live from Lagos, Nigeria. Thank you. Legislature, giving us the meaning. A governmental body with the power to make, amend, and repeal laws. That's the Supreme Court. Okay, does the Supreme Court have jurisdiction over the Parliament? 1. Akufo-Addo. 2. George Akufo-Dampare. 3. Otto-Addo. What is common among these three? I'm here to find out. Ghanaians can check the following names and give judgment. Chain of leadership. Addo. Oh, okay, I see. Ado as president, Ekufu as IGP, and Ado again as Black Star coach. If you have this kind of leadership, can a country or institution, football club succeed? Question mark. Incompetence plus insolence plus expediency plus gerrymandering plus Machiavellian tactics equal to 2 Ados and Ekufu. Interesting mathematics this morning. Okay, so we have more messages. I'm going to read that, but I'll give Doc a few minutes to clear his point.
I think my point is very clear. All I am saying is that the judiciary has made a pronouncement. Whoever is challenging it must do so within the context of law, within the context of diplomacy, within the context of patriotism.
Right.
And we cannot allow the 2 political parties to disturb the peace of this country.
Right.
That's
absolutely.
my point.
Thank you. All right. So let's touch on our last topic, which also has something to do with this one that we just left off, and it's an assertion from Mahama Yariga. He says that Ghana needs knowledgeable judges in the Supreme Court. That is a serious assertion. Is that to say that we don't have knowledgeable judges in the Supreme Court?
I think that, you see, it's like, let me use the example of the civil service. Look, we have completely competent, knowledgeable people. But I go back to Dr. Mazuko. The interference of the executive is what is creating a lot of problems. And in my humble opinion, and I can be, people can change it, it's always a question of degree. Every executive government I know of in the Ghana's history has tried in some shape, form, or fashion to have some interference. But it's a question of degree. And I humbly submit that in all the history of Ghana, we have never had interference in institutions of this country like we have seen under President Nana Addo. This is the worst type of interference we have ever had. And it goes with the civil service, it goes with the judiciary, it goes with the police force, it goes with all our institutions have been interfered with in a way where the main thing of any new government is to give credibility back to our institutions so that people can now begin to believe that at least. And the thing is that they are not, it's not a bad or a difficult task, because it's not that they don't know, but it is a question of survival. You say something today, you have been transferred. You say that you have removed from post. And very blatant, they let you know. Why? A judge says this about this, and no, he's transferred. You have a case going on, the person has been removed. He should go, he's no longer going to sit. Where is this done? Where is this done? In any judicial system. A judge is sitting on a case. If you are even angry, let the person finish and tell your people, go and appeal. So that you go and, no. As the case when you say no, you should. Okay. So, the issue of the why are people challenging the Supreme Court? It's because of the way and manner in which things are being done now. And that is not to say there were not bad things happening in the past. That's the point I'm making. So for me, it's like when I was in London practicing criminal law, prostitution existed. Up to today, if you go there, you have loitering. It's there. The police monitor it. If they realize that the thing is reaching to a certain point, they just go on the streets, they arrest.
To die down.
To die down. But you can never totally eradicate it. So they monitor. So I'm very aware of what I mean by degree. When things get to a certain point and you are not monitoring, you don't stop, put checks and balances in place, the net effect is that you end up with chaos. Right now, look, go to any civil servant and say, write a report. You clap. They are good. They are well informed. They know what they have to do. But because they are being given, if you don't do this, you are transferred. If you don't do this, you have lost your job. They will bring somebody who is lower than you and put on top of you. The person will be creating a mess. The person is still there. Hello? So for me, I'm clear. This statement is not just about judiciary. I'm not going to comment on it. It's about the whole, all our institutions in Ghana have headache. And we have to now reset the country. It is not just the, what's it called? The judiciary. It's across board. Police are being attacked. Some of the military, because of Galamsey, are now being attacked. Civil servants are being attacked. Clergy are being attacked. Muslims, the leadership
we are part of the clergy.
Well, I like to differentiate sometimes, but I hear you. Let me. When you say clergy, some people don't read it like that. Some people think that.
Just Christian.
Yes, and I agree. But I know that when you say clergy, now people see cassocks instead of.
I mean, I wouldn't have even thought that the Muslim leaders.
That's a limited.
But most Ghanaians have it.
Yeah, but
most Ghanaians,
enlightened to them.
When you say clergy, they are thinking of church. They are not thinking of mosque.
They
are not thinking of the Buddhists. They are not. So that's why I say that faith. Let me just say, faith leaders.
Exactly.
Then I'm better off.
Faith
leaders are being contaminated.
Protesters.
You are using the word.
But that's why they are being attacked. They being attacked because the executives is putting his hand in their matter.
When you talk about faith leaders, don't use contamination. You use the same attack.
Okay.
Or everybody is attacked, but faith leaders are contaminated. Why?
And I will not forgetting the protesters, citizens of Ghana who make their voices.
They are also
yeah.
The media.
Yeah.
The media, very important.
But the faith leaders, they are being contaminated.
This is another procedure.
Because their faith should not allow them to even become subject to as of the civil servants and the judges, but as of the faith people.
Honorable, please let's wrap it up. We are hard pressed with time. Okay.
Honorable, this one I'll report you to Christian Council.
Honorable, have you landed? So that bring okay. All right, Solo. Quickly on the let's wrap it up on this one here.
He said there are very fine judges.
Yes.
If they will be allowed to do their work, I mean, there will be fine outcome. It will be self-indicting for Mama Hayariga to say what he said, because mind you, Supreme Court judges are vetted by Parliament.
Yeah.
And he is a parliamentarian. So is he telling us that he vetted people that were not qualified?
He made a statement of some sort.
No, I understand him that he cited Baker versus Carr, which was it's a popular case in the U.S. where the Supreme Court decided to stay off certain crucial or
businesses,
highly political cases so that they will not be tainted with that. But you cannot also use this to, as it were, draw that conclusion that they are not good. They are very fine judges. Though when you go to the law school, those that get the first class, the second upper, most of them don't end up at the bench.
Yeah.
It's just like you sending your award to the primary and the GHS. I mean, those that went to the secondary schools and universities, you know, the first class and the second class, all of them wanted to be in the banks, the medical profession. It's only in this country that good science student wants to read medicine and they leave the physics, the chemistry, and others to others that were not good enough. And you expect your award at the secondary school to do better. So we need to reshape ourselves. I disagree. But the Supreme Court must live above. There is a reason why they retire on their as a salary. So that is security of tenure. You understand? So they must not allow. As for politicians, if you allow yourself, they will use you. Every politician wants to take advantage of the other. So the Supreme Court must stand on their feet and then begin to be principled. If it was white yesterday, that same case must be the situation.
Right.
The moment you twist it, then you begin to create doubt in the minds of people that you want to be biased. I want to ask whether the very day that the case was called, it was part of the court list. You know, cases are listed for the day.
Yeah.
Was a part of it?
I doubt.
I mean, Madam Tokon, they say affirmative action. You are a woman. We respect you like that. The women of this country must live up to the expectation. Same way Jay Mensah, same way all women. I will be happy to see more women in positions. But The mere fact that you are a woman and you are there does not mean that you will forgive you and treat you with kid gloves. You understand? Because then they say whatever a man can do, a woman can do better. So if a woman can do better, we expect you not to, as it will allow the men, the past or the president have been set to outweigh you, but rather make sure that the women can do better, become the order of the day. Yeah. I'm not envying them. They should live up to a special. As for the court of which we will go there. That's where we are. Yeah. Do you say the police is not good? Let something happen to you, you still go there.
The police.
So we need to encourage and push them to do what is right for the betterment of the country.
Thank you very much, Solo. Doc, finally with you.
You see, knowledge is one thing, and the sincerity with which knowledge can be applied is another. So the MP, well, maybe he doesn't mean what we think he does. Maybe he doesn't mean that saying that we need knowledgeable judges does not amount to saying that we don't have them. For all you know, he's a politician. Maybe when you corner him, he may say that, oh, we have them, we need more. Or because they are performing well, we need more. He can say that. So I want to be fair with him. I don't think he wants to say that the country is not having knowledgeable judges. That's not, I don't think that's what he wants to say. But if I can be wrong, if that is what he wants to say, then he's wrong. We have knowledgeable judges. We have very knowledgeable judges. He has been a lawyer.
And he is a lawyer.
Yes,
Harvard-trained lawyer.
Yes, Harvard-trained lawyer. So, and he has dealt with all these judges, or some of these judges, right, throughout his legal profession. Since when did he occur to him that the judges were not knowledgeable?
He actually vetted some of them.
You understand that? I'm coming there. Then from legal practice to parliamentary business, he has been part of those who have vetted these judges. Why didn't he establish their ignorance at the vetting level? So you see, another case of political chicanery. You see? So, you know, that's what I'm saying, that when experts speak as experts and not as politicians, it is good for the Republic of Ghana. But when they speak, when they mix politics with their expertise in trying to educate us, that becomes problematic. Having said that, let me also make it clear that it is the sincerity of the judges that will make them more productive and their knowledge more useful to the Republic of Ghana. I strongly believe that the whole system needs a certain review. When I say the whole judicial system needs a certain review. And the first thing that we need to tackle, I don't know how it is done in other jurisdictions, the first thing that we need to tackle is the manner of their appointment. Yeah. Whether the president, I know when you say this way, so even in America the president appoints the judges, even in UK the president appoints the judges. That is in their context. If in our context the presidential appointment of judges is not good for us, we are at liberty to find out and then look for another option. I strongly believe that we need a national dialogue on it, and to look for ways by which we can have an alternative. And when they are independently appointed, they should independently operate to give meaning to the rule of law and productivity to the Ghana's constitutional development.
Right.
I strongly believe that they are knowledgeable, but their operation has something to do with some interference.
Okay.
But let me end by saying that the moral community, the leaders of the faith-based institutions are not contaminated. Yeah. We are rather trying to do everything possible.
Did you say you are not contaminated?
We are not. We are not.
Okay. I mean, with the issue of
but they are very
with the issue of having a national dialogue, I think you can rule that out. I mean, given your track record, you can have an event where that national discourse dialogue.
No problem. That's fine. Thank you for.
I'll be your event planner.
No, that's fine. You are most welcome. Thank you for the encouragement.
All right, so
thank you. All right.
I think time is up, but let me take a few messages. Good morning. Tell NDC to be proactive to prosecute their cases at the international courts like ICC, AU, EU, or ECOWAS courts, to call EC and Akufo-Addo, come his officials to order for their human rights abuses, scandals, and political killings in Accra, Ejura, Techiman, Boko, Ayawaso, and other parts of the country. Okay. This one is also saying that, good morning. Good morning. I agree to you and your panelists. All these are very clear that MPP didn't win the 2020 elections. They have manipulated the systems to have them be declared winners of 2020 elections. Mr. Owusu is aware. We all saw what the EC did. NPP is eating its own feces of their manipulation of 2020. As for the judiciary, God is watching. Victor from Kumasi. Okay, let me take this last one. Good morning, Madam Host. In fact, we the clergies are now fed up in this country. Look at the judges and judiciary, for that matter, who pronounce judgment in place of Yahweh. Please, they hold Bible and swear. Please, better things should be done. Okay. Thank you very much for sending in your submission and your contribution. Thank you for choosing us to always bring you insightful conversations and compelling. Thank you to my honorable, the man who will very soon adopt me as his daughter. So very soon I'll be called AGYEKUM Segbefia. End of discussion.
So very soon you're going to be my cousin.
Yeah.
I am a nephew to you.
Alhamdulillah. All right, so thank you so much, Honorable. Thank you, Solo. It's a movement. Definitely a movement. And thank you to the intellectual Dr. Marazuk. Thank you so much for always being our super Monday team. I almost said Monday 3, but no, yes. Thank you, and thank you to you. It's always thank you, because we are grateful that you're a part of our journey and our conversations. My name is AGYEKUM. We've got more coming your way. See you on the other side.